homesteading to prepping to common horse sense, we are College Hill Farm. I'll be glad to get a tractor shed. Welcome back to College Hill Farm. Today I want to get in the garden and dig some onions, but in the last 2 weeks it's rained every day. So my garden is, the weeds are starting to overtake it. So I've got to get in here and get these onions out. These are the onion sets. My regular big onions aren't ready yet, and let me show you what I'm talking about. And you'll see the garden's wet right now. I've got on rubber boots because I've got to harvest them today. It's supposed to rain this evening, going to rain tomorrow, the next day, the next day, and the next day. It's rained solid 2 weeks already, and I got another week of rain. So I'm going to have to get in here with a hoe in some of my garden and just cut some weeds down without plowing. Because if you plow and it's wet like this, your ground turns to concrete, okay? So let's get over here and have a look at the onions so you can see why I need to harvest them. Okay, here's my onions. There's the big onions. Now some of those are getting ready to harvest. See that one with the thing down, with the side down? It's ready to harvest. But most of the big onions right in there, well, my tractor, the stuff's falling off of it, right in there, they're not ready to harvest yet, but they will be soon. But these onions right here are ready to harvest, and I didn't worry about weeding them too much after they got ready to harvest. But now I've let go for 2 weeks, so I've lost some onions here. I'm sure down there, down all the way down here, I've probably lost some onions. So we're going to get in here and harvest these onions. 2 weeks ago, I hoed those peppers out. Look at the weeds in them. That's what 2 weeks without hoeing does. You know, it's a something. But anyhow, I'm going to get in here and get these, and I'll tell you how I'm going to do it. Now, I would love to tell you that I had some special method so that I didn't have to bend over and harvest these onions. Well, that ain't the way it is. I know I've got to come up with some kind of method, because later on I'm not going to be able to do this. But the only method I have right now is I put the tractor forks on my tractor. And I'll take those forks and put the tractor down through here beside the onion row, and that lets me hold on to it while I bend over. It gives me something to steady myself. Sometimes when I bend over, where I've got multiple sclerosis, sometimes where I bend over, I just fall over, wind up planting on my head. So I'll use the tractor to help steady me. So I'm going to get over here and get it pulling these onions up, and then we'll see where we go from there. That's about as big as onion sets get, okay? My fist in comparison, okay? So they don't get big. So let's keep pulling. Time for me to take a break, rest my back. But here's why these onion sets are ready to be pulled. See that right there? That's a seed head. Okay? When these onions go to seed, the bulbs are as big as they're going to get. And I like to let the bulbs get big. Some people say that these get tough if you wait till the bulbs get big. I haven't found that to be the case. Crystal and I use these in stir fries and all kinds of stuff. It isn't like we're eating them in a salad. So, do we eat green onions in a salad? Well, sure. If you don't, there's something wrong with you. But, since when they start putting up seed heads, the bulbs ain't getting no bigger, and I like to let the bulbs get as big as they're going to get. The big onions, you'll see those, looks like in about 2 weeks I'll be harvesting those too. So, now, I'll see you as we start to process these. Okay, here's my onion haul. This is 100 feet. That's a 4 cubic foot tractor bucket. It's 100 feet of onion sets, not onion slips. These are never meant to make big onions. Here's our onions. They vary in size from about like this. This is my fist. See how big? Okay, this is not very big. Maybe a 3-ounce onion to this. There are red ones, yellow ones, and white ones in there. You saw us plant them. If you missed the planting video, you can go back. I'll try and put a link right up here. But we planted these. I showed you how to plant them, hoe them, harvest them, and now I'm going to show you how to put them up in the freezer. Now, I'm going to go down to the house. I had a water problem, and my hose bib, my hose hydrant is not working. So that's a pain in the butt. So I've got to conquer that somewhere. So I'm going to go down, change boots because my boots are covered with mud. And I'm going to go down, I'll fill the tractor bucket up with water. And I'm going to fill a tote up with water. And I'll meet you all back in the shade. Well, turn over here. There. Okay, my bucket is full of water. So what I do is right now I've got a tote right here filling with water. I take and I give these an initial rinse, and that gets all the mud and stuff off of them. Then I'll drop them in that tote. And when I get a bunch in the tote, I'll show you what else I do. Now any weeds and stuff that are on them, take those weeds off. Sometimes I go ahead and pull the skin if it's already loose. Okay? But get these down in there. And I don't worry about separating out yellow ones from white ones from red ones. Doesn't matter. They're all green onions and they all taste the same. But I do like to get rid of the weeds because it makes life easier when you go to processing. And this is not a process you want to do in the house. It's muddy and nasty and takes a pretty good amount of time. See, that initial wash gets most of that mud off there. Okay, that's about as many as I can do, and I'll show you what I do with them here in just a second. Let's get some more water in the tub. I've got my little table here. It's been washed off as good as it'll wash. This little table is just stained and it ain't going to wash no more than that. These totes are used just for harvesting. So I've got 1, 2, and then I'll keep one over here. And what you do, I start off, I get an onion, I make sure there are no weeds or vines stuck to it. There we go. Now see this leaf, how dead it is? I just peel it off, then I peel the head back. Okay. Peel the head back. Then I just take my scissors and cut that off. Okay, then I cut this whole head right here in one tote. Now, while that's cut, then we want green onions. So what I just start cutting. Cut these right off. That one's got a bad place, so I just throw it out of the way. Cut them in about inch-long strips, 1.5 inches. And when I get to the ends, where these ends are a little nasty, I just throw them away. Because that one onion gave us that many green onions. Okay, I've got a full tractor bucket to work up. Now what will happen is I will cut these up, and as these fill, I'll put them in a bucket. And then when I get a full bucket, I'll take it in the house. Now I don't know if Crystal's going to be able to help me today. She's got some other things she needs to do. So once these are cut and taken in the house, they'll get washed again and then put in freezer bags. So, okay, I'm going to get at this. Oh, and these will be cut up in the food processor. We'll process them just like we do our big onions and put them in the freezer too, separate. Oh, what about when they're little like this? This onion, let me skin it here. This onion is not big, okay? It doesn't matter if they're red, white, or yellow. When they're not big, cut the tip off. When they're not big, I'm bad to just cut them in half and and put them right in with the green onions. Oh, there's a piece of a weed. Get out of there. If there's anything on the onion you don't like, throw it away. There's plenty of them. Alright, I'll get at this, and when I get them all done, ready to go in the house, I'll come back to you. Half bucket empty. And it is 8:51, it's almost 9 o'clock. So I've been at this 3 hours, and I've got half the bucket emptied up. Nothing like this goes quick. So I'll keep at it. Right there, 100 feet of green onions getting ready to go in the house to be processed. Okay, here's all of our onions. 2, 3 of those containers of the big onions, and then the cut onions, and then there's 2 buckets, 2.5 gallon buckets down here. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put these over in the water and I'm going to wash them. But now I could do things the hard way and cut all these myself, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let the food processor do it, because you know, there's just so much. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go over there and wash the onions and cut out any bad places, and then I'm going to cut them so that they will fit down in this food processor. And of course I've got to take that thing out, but I'll cut them to where they fit in the food processor. You don't need me to show you that. I'll show you how fast it is to process them though. Okay, I've washed and got a bowl full. So what I'm going to do is, our food processor has an adjustment slicer. I could sit here with a knife and do it all day long and be here forever, but what I've done is I've cut these all so that they will fit down in this food processor. And we've got a food processor with an adjustable blade, so this will cut these about 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in. Now the way I like to drop them in, now all I did was I cut any root ends off and stuff. So you put it on low, you'll start it on low, and then drop these in. Okay, it's full. So now we just take the lid off. Take the plate out. And now what I've got is a whole big thing of onions ready to go in a freezer bag. And we don't do stuff to our onions. We don't blanch them. We don't do none of that stuff. We just cut them like this, drop them in a freezer bag, and they're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get at that, get all these done, and then when we come back to you, you'll see how many freezer bags we got. As far as the green onions go, I'm just going to rewash them, stick them in a freezer bag. That's all. Okay? Okay, we wound up with 7 1-gallon bags of green onions, and 5 1-gallon bags of the onion heads, the tops, and then about a half a gallon more. So we wound up with 5.5 gallons of cut up onions. This was actually the probably the biggest. I probably had the biggest onions from onion sets that I've ever grown. I don't know why. I guess it was just a good year for onions. You know, you have those years that are like that. It's just a good year for onions. What have I got invested in these? Well, I've got the bags invested. This is probably $1 worth of Ziploc bags. I've got, of course, maybe a nickel's worth of water from our water, city water. Then I've got, I bought 2 pounds of onion sets. They were $1.50 a pound. I think they were $1.50. Anyway, that's $3. So we're right now at $4. And then I used about 90 cents worth of fertilizer and 10 cents worth of water. So we're talking about $5 for all these onions. Now, if I weighed that, it's going to weigh about 3 pounds. Okay, so this is about 3 pounds, so that's about 15 pounds worth of onion tops. This doesn't weigh as much because it's green onions, but now there's some white onions and stuff in there. You can see them. If the heads weren't great big, I went ahead and just cut them up into the green onions. That's what I do every time. This probably weighs 2 pounds. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 of those. So there's 14 pounds of green onions. So I've got 15 pounds of white onions and 15 pounds of green onions. So making 30 pounds of onions for $5. I don't think I can complain about that. Oh, well, maybe there was a dime, maybe a quarter's worth of diesel fuel went into that. So, okay, less than $6. I've got 30 pounds of onions to go in the freezer. Now, what am I going to do? I'm just going to pop these right in the freezer. Okay, they will make your freezer smell. Don't put them in the freezer where you've got your grapes. Okay, or your raspberries, or else they're going to smell like onions. I'll put them in the same freezer where the deer meat is, so that that'll be that way. Now, right here in the kitchen, I'm going to put one of these bags and one of these bags right here in the kitchen freezer, and Crystal will probably use out of them tonight. Now, in the freezer, what do these do? They freeze, but they don't freeze solid. If you put peppers in the freezer, those things freeze solid, but these onions, they don't freeze completely solid. So at any time, you can just squeeze that bag a little bit, open it up, and reach in there and get a handful out. So it's absolutely marvelous. You can make a Creole and never have to slice an onion. Now, if you like this stuff, this homesteading, do-it-yourself kind of thing, be certain to come on out to the channel and subscribe. We do this homesteading stuff every week, sometimes 1, sometimes 5 videos. Just depends on what's going on in the homestead that week. Now, if you hit the little bell when you come to the channel, and it'll be right up here, it'll notify you when we upload a video. We upload every Sunday. Now, with that being said, time for me to get on to the next thing.